Hi, this is Christopher Turner, your host of Go Play Esports. We're right now live on LinkedIn, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. We're going to try this one more again. Coach Rob has been giving me a hard time the whole week about my internet, and I'm going to try to match his energy, man. So let's go ahead and get into Control Drink, drinkcontrol.com. You know what it is. Use code GOPLAYES. Let's get to the commercial.
90% of people love statistics. We don't have any data to support that, so you'll just have to take our word for it. Control contains prebiotic fiber, the stuff that promotes healthy gut bacteria. Unlike unhealthy gut bacteria, it's healthy. It also contains digestive enzymes. They promote healthy digestion. You're probably starting to recognize a trend here. You know what else are healthy? Branched-chain amino acids. They support muscle growth and amp up your exercise performance. And MCTs help to control your appetite. 5 grams of fiber, 23 grams of protein, 22 vitamins and minerals, plus it's made with real pieces of cereal. Control. Statistically awesome.
That's drinkcontrol.com. Use code GOPLAYES. You know, I don't promote anything that I don't use my doggone stuff. It's great. I just had some this morning. Awesome stuff. Coach Rob, I'm going to go ahead and add my buddy in, man. What's up?
What's up, dude?
Man, we here.
Yeah, we here this time around. Oh, my goodness gracious.
Don't give me a hard time, man.
Oh, man.
You know, it's my internet provider.
Yeah, I get it.
You know.
Blame it on being in the South. That's what we'll do.
Oh, man. Shots fired. So, man, you know, for the ones that don't know, we met in Boise in person a couple weeks ago. It just felt like we formed a brotherhood, man. And I'm saying this on air. I never told you this, you know, off air, but it's a few people that you meet that you bond with.
No doubt.
Definitely, we hit it off, man. So I wanted to get you on the show and pretty much talk about who you are, you know, how we got here, man. So as far as my first question, man, who is Steven Robinson Jr.?
I mean, it can be a loaded question, I guess, depending on who you ask or what day it is. But you know, in the grand scheme of all of it, I'm just a man on this earth trying to do the purpose that I'm given, man. To be honest with you, like everybody has certain things that they're gifted with that they want to do to the best of their ability, and this is, you know, for me, it's always been about helping people. So, you know, before this, and we can kind of get into it later, but before this, I was a teacher. Before that, I was a cop. It's always been about helping people with me. So, like, even with my family now, they know I'm super selfless, which, you know, can be a bad thing when you have a family, because that means you're not around all the time, right? So a bunch of your hours are given to everybody else. So, you know, that's kind of in a nutshell who I am and what I'm about, and that's kind of how I was brought up.
Sure, man. And so let's dive a little deeper, man. So how did you come about getting the SHU get into the esports realm. You know, I know that you started off in football.
Right.
You know, you just mentioned a cop. Helping people is your thing, so let's start there.
Yeah. So, you know, like you kind of mentioned, you kind of already segued into it. Siena Heights was not on the radar whatsoever with me. Like, I'm from Indiana. I still live in Indiana. So going to Michigan was not a thought whatsoever. Actually, the plan for me was after my junior year, I had like a little tour, couple like 2-week tour of a bunch of HBCUs down south. And the plan was to go down there, whether it be like Hampton or another one, and just kind of be in that culture for 4 years because I'm from Indiana, obviously. So ended up going on a visit to Siena Heights. They were starting a football program. That was going to be their first year. Actually starting the program was my freshman year. And everything kind of fell into place. Like everything that was being talked about in that was the vision for them and their program lined up really well with what I wanted to do. It wasn't super far from home, but it was far enough away where I knew mom and dad wouldn't pop up on a random Thursday just to see what was going on, right? So made that jump there, played football, was going to be a teacher when I was there. I took my first education class, and I found out how dumb it was, and I got out of it. Got my degree in English, only to come back home and end up being a teacher anyway. So that's kind of how it happened. After I graduated from Siena Heights, that is when they started an esports program or began to have talks about it. And, you know, that was when Robert Morris was like the head dog for esports. They were doing all of it at the time. So Siena Heights kind of got into the mix of it. And when they did that, I started a high school program from the ground up. Obviously, like you being in the K through 12 scene, you understand like wholeheartedly the budget and the funding aspect of that at the high school level is like
no budget.
It doesn't exist, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I was able to do some good things with a bunch of great people for those couple of years. The job at Siena Heights opened up right before COVID. I had applied, then COVID hit, which was honestly, and I'll say it to the day I die, like it was like God let COVID happen, like right when it was supposed to happen in my situation, because I wasn't ready to take the gig yet. Gave me another year to kind of fine tune some things. And then when I did apply that second time around, like literally everybody that I interviewed with, I knew they were at Siena when I was there. They were professors or in different positions, and it was super easy, man. It was like an easy transition, like going back home essentially. So now I'm back, heading into my second year, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, man. And so, like, you know, I know you've been asked this before, man. What transferable skills by you being a coach already that you're able to apply to your program now that makes sense? Yeah.
So what ended up happening with that is a lot. It's essentially the same thing in a nutshell. Like a lot of the things that we do and that you and I do and other directors do all the time. It's super universal, right? So. And there's a stigma. Some people talk about it. Some people like it. Some people don't. That esports is, you know, a sport in itself. That's another debate. You know, it is what it is. You can take it as you will. At first, I used to push the stigma that it is for the simple fact of everything that you do and all that it entails. Now, not so much so. It's more so it's its own thing, and that's okay. But, you know, from a leadership standpoint and at the top of it, a lot of what we do is the same, right? So the mental grind of it is super important. Putting people in the right position, leading them and mentoring them, not just attached to the game titles that they play or whether it be through marketing or the digital side, whatever it is. Like that part is, in essence, that's the easy part, right? Because you're recruiting kids that already play the game. Like that part's easy. But putting them in a situation where they can grow as a person, like that part is the same thing I did at the football, coaching high school football. Like we're trying to make these people better people. We're trying to make them better young adults, young men and women, and set them up for the next 40 years, all in 4 years, right? So we're trying to give them everything they didn't learn from mom and dad or from their friends or from their hometown. We're trying to do that in a short amount of time. And, you know, that part is frustrating to a degree, but it's also the fun part because you, in one hand or on one side of the coin, you have a person's life in your hands. On the other side of it, they're giving you the opportunity to help mold them into the best version of themselves too. So it's a give and a take thing, and it's a big investment for them. So a lot of it is super simple.
No, I'm glad that you're giving an overall view because I think people when they realize what esports is. They think competition, and they don't realize the amount of work that we put in and pour into our student athletes. And
For
so,
sure.
with that said, the next question is, it's a simple one, but I know you're going to do a good job in answering this one,
This guy
man.
said a simple one.
Ha! Why esports?
Yeah. So So look, obviously, and we got to hang out the majority of the week in Boise. I took off early because I already knew what was up, so I was trying to go home. But
Right.
I'm not 6'5". I'm not 6'2", right? I'm not 6'3", 210 pounds. So a huge career like in the NFL wasn't a thing. Obviously, as a kid, we always think about it, but we end up being realistic, right? So when I kind of was at Siena Heights and I was kind of around that family atmosphere and getting to know so many people and experiencing so many things, a lot of that came into play when I came back home and started to run a program and then do the teaching thing. Like, it all stems around, again, being that steward, man, and helping people the best way possible. And the way that we're able to help people now, when you can attest to it, like, it's 2022. Like, you have kids, I have kids. Like, technology is king right now, right? So they say content is king, but all that content is evolved around technology. So, like, that is where we have to meet them, right? And I think that's one thing that's important is, as adults and as leaders and mentors, and parents, like, how can we meet our kids where they are and give them the best advantages possible? So that was where it is, man. A lot of kids, they're playing video games all day. They're looking to be the next Tyler Blevins or Ludwig or whoever it is that they're looking up to do content creation or to be pro or whatever the case is. But if that doesn't happen, that doesn't pan out. And we talked about it at Boise, like, what's the backup plan? So, the esports side of it, especially collegiately, is okay, perfect. Let me get you on a campus. Let me get you on this campus to do something that you're super passionate about, while also making sure that, God forbid, if your plan doesn't work out, you have something in place that still can set you up to do what you want to do in your life and be successful at it. So if you still want to be a streamer and it doesn't work out, but you want to stream on the side and you still have your career, perfect. How can we make that happen? If the pro scene does work out for you, fantastic. But you also had a couple of years under your belt on the academic side. So when that pro career does fizzle out and you retire from pro gaming at 27 or 28, you can come on back and finish that last year or those last 2 years, and you still start your next phase in your life. So it was all about me, like, big picture things and how many people I could help, long term.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I think I've said this to you in person. I think you have a great scope of where this thing is and where it should go. Tell me, I know you, like, you're coming back home per se. You've been there back for a year. This is year 2.
Right.
How did being in that seat, that director seat, at home, how did your program change the culture at the school? Because, you're telling me offline it's a small university, man. So I can imagine it was a big impact, knowing that a lot of these students game.
Yeah, for sure. And this is, I always, like, well, not always, since I've gotten married and I've had kids now, like, my perspective is different. And it's all, and like, I try to follow the rule of, it's not about me, it's about we type of thing. So, like, I don't brag or I don't tell people about, like, what we did this first year or, like, how it has played out and what this year 2 looks like. But, to be transparent, like I'll always be, like, aside from the football team at Siena Heights right now, who they're bringing in 43, their recruiting class for this next year is 43. I have the second biggest recruiting class on campus, like, in year 1. And that's after the fact of the biggest recruiting class prior to me getting here was 8. So when you look at it just from that scope, so the biggest recruiting class was 8. My first recruiting class, my first year right now, and it could go up, obviously, or it could go down, but as of right now, it's at 28. So you're telling me the number that we hit collectively as a program is 20 more than the biggest number we've had. Like, in itself, and we talked about it, like, universities, they always will look at that number. They care about the number, and it's awful, but we're not idiots either. We understand. that it's a business. So they care about that number. They care about that incoming class, and the bigger the number, the bigger the dollar amount, and the bigger that dollar amount, the better the program and the university runs. So that first year, a lot of it was getting the groundwork the right way, because this program's been around for 4 years now. I'm the fourth director, so they've had a new director every single year. So there was no culture, or there was no expectation or standard when I got there. So that first year was hard for the players, understanding that there was going to be a culture. And I lost 10 players in the first month and a half when I got there.
Because of structure?
Because I'm crazy. I'm crazy, man. I have super high standards, but so does the world. So if I already set you up to have high expectations and meeting the standard, then you're going to be fine. Sure. So I lost 10 that were like, hey, Coach Rob is nuts. I can't do it, which is okay. They're still on campus. When I see those students, I'm still like, what's up? I still love them to death, but they just didn't fit, and that's okay. Yeah. So yeah, that first year was all about culture, man. We only had we had 3 teams that competed. Our Rocket League team competed. We had a Smash team that got to compete, and then Hearthstone. That was it. So those big titles like Overwatch and League, we didn't have. So it was a lot of, up close and personal conversations that we had to get situated.
Sure. And I kind of set you up.
Of course you did. Of course, man.
Well, you said it. You said that you were insane, that you pushed the envelope. Right. And so a lot of people do 5-year plans. You did a 3-year plan. Let's talk about it.
Yep. So when I got hired, and again, kind of going back to the point of the retention and the numbers didn't fit what the program should have been. And you and I have talked about it, obviously. Every program is different. When I got hired, I was in a unique situation where a lot of the infrastructure was already done. There was already an arena. There was already an actual physical space that was utilized just for the players. So that part was super easy because I just walked into it. But, aside from that, when I got hired, I told the AD right away, I said, I got a 3-year plan. This is what the expectation is, and this has to be what happens every year. This was me honestly saying, betting on myself and what I felt like I could do, saying, hey, after 3 years, if this is not what I'm saying it will be, then you reevaluate. That my AD, God bless her, obviously didn't expect much because there hasn't been much done before me. So they were like, they kind of laughed it off, and they were like, you're super ambitious. We like it, but we also have to be realistic. A year later, now that it's July, I got hired last July. Now that it's July 2022, now the conversation is, okay, Coach Rob might be a lunatic, but everything he said is making sense now. So now we're in year 2 of the plan, and that 3-year plan is to take essentially the entire 3rd floor of the building that we're in. We took part of it this summer. The plan is to take another piece by next summer. And then I told them my 3-year plan is by the end of my 3rd year, if everything works out and I'm there and everything like that kind of falls into place, by the end of that 3rd year, we'll have 70 players / analysts or social media. We'll have 70 student athletes in our program. So right now we're at 44, including the 14 that stayed and then the 28 that I got, the 16 that stayed and the 24 or 28 that I got. So by the end of this next year, we should be at that 57, 58 mark. I'm not expecting to get 28 again, but even if I get 15, we're knocking it out the park compared to where we were. CT, what do we got? Oh, what's this? What we got here? Oh, it's an old image. Okay. Yeah, that was back a couple years ago. Coach Goodman, he now is at Finlandia University, in the UP. But he was the 2nd director there. He was there for a decent amount of time, coached soccer while he was there, then took off to Finlandia. So that put us in the situation where we needed a new one. That's when a grad assistant stepped in as 3rd director. He was there, or they were there for a semester. and then that's when I kind of took over this past year. So we've had a lot of shuffling, man, but the 3-year plan is and you and I have talked about it, obviously off camera and everything. The 3-year plan is a 3-year plan. I'm not going to deviate from that. I'm going to hold firm to that, and everything that I have in store, it'll be done in 3 years, regardless of where I'm at or what happens.
And so, I'm asking this question just for people that are watching and want to know. As far as the 3-year plan, this is going to be that last line of questioning. As far as the 3-year plan, you mentioned expansion. Are you already starting to plan out what that floor model is going to be? We just left Boise, which everybody considers the Mecca.
Right.
What ideas do you have, man, or what are you looking at as far as growth?
Yeah. So, and I'll send it to you because I already have it. I actually have it mapped out, and it was like perfect. So, the Unreal Engine by Epic Games came out a couple months ago.
Sure.
And as soon as it came out, I was like, okay, that is what I needed. So it came out, and I sat at this desk that I'm at right now at home. I sat here for an entire weekend, and I tinkered around with the engine and figured out how to utilize it. And then that Monday, I actually had a full 3D map out and plan of what it needs to look like. I had a 3D figure walking through all of it.
That's impressive.
What it will look like. I did a voiceover, like an 8-minute breakdown of this is what every room looks like. This is what I need to have happen. This is why it is here. This is what it will utilize. This is what it will do. And I sent it to the AD, and I sent it to the vice president of student engagement. And I was like, hey, this is what it is. This is what it has to be. It has to be this. And that was that was before I went to Boise. And truth be told, a big part of it, selfishly, a big part of going to Boise was meeting was to see, right? A big part of it was to obviously get to see you and Dana and everybody else that was there. But then the other part of it was my recruiting was already done when I got there. So if I got to talk to a player, fantastic. If I didn't, I'm not stressed out about it. The other part was to see what Doc was doing, because I had questions, right? So and he's that's the mecca of what they do there, which is that broadcasting analyst portion. So, in my head, again, thinking about big picture, how can we help people? Not every, but most universities, they have a communications major or journalism or something. So looking at Boise and seeing, okay, this is what they did with their room. This room only cost them $25,000.
Right.
I can fundraise $25,000 in a year here. And then that money goes strictly towards building this room, that's the 3rd year in the 3rd year plan. That is the final piece of it. Sure. So, no, man, I'll send it to you. It's mapped out already.
Yeah, you definitely got to send it to me, man, because I just did the Unreal Accelerator.
Yeah.
For you to just sit down and pick that up is amazing, man. But you know what? I think a lot of people are intimidated by it, but a lot of it is drag and drop.
It's super easy. Once you figure it out.
Yeah.
Super easy. It's literally drag and drop, copy and paste, put the dimensions in and let the rest of it kind of happen.
Let it fly.
The hardest part was figuring out how to move the figure. That was the hardest part. Yeah. After you get everything, so I'm I don't understand what keys
how to map out the figure.
Yeah, man. So it was super fun. I'm gonna tell you I'm gonna tell everybody right away on camera though, if for some strange reason this layout that I provided, they say we can't do it, we're gonna have a problem.
Yeah, I know that's right, man.
I have a problem, man, because I know we can do it because I already did all the measurements.
You already did the measurements.
Oh, I did all the work. All you gotta do is write the check.
I know that's right.
Did all the work,
man. So, lastly, I'm gonna let you go after this one, man.
Yeah.
Let us know what's next for you in the program, and then after that, let us know. Just plug, man. Just Twitter, Instagram, whatever y'all have, man.
Yeah. So I am. Again, kind of, and I mentioned it earlier, my mindset has changed in the last couple of years. So I used to be super goal oriented, right? So I'm okay, this is what I need to do in this amount of time or this span of time or whatever. But then I've read a lot more in the past couple of years than I have in the last probably 10 years. So like I'm starting to understand that like goals are fleeting things, and once you achieve those goals, you're constantly chasing the next goal, as opposed to just having standards and systems in place that you'll never be able to fully obtain. You're reaching for it, which keeps you constantly motivated. So like for me, the expectations for us in our program is the standard for that is how can we improve 1% every day, right? So how can I be a better director than I was yesterday? Like what can I do today to ensure that my players understand and know that I love them and that I want them to be the best version of themselves no matter what. So with that, the expectation for us, or the expectations that we have in place, being in an athletic conference that we are in the WAC, the Wolverine Hoosier Athletic Conference, like the expectation for us this year is to win one of the 3 titles. So either Rocket League or Overwatch, to win one of those titles outright, and then the place in the top half in the other 2. So, again, for me, I don't feel like those are goals. Like that's the standard. Like there is no, like that is what is expected here. So anything underneath that's not the standard. So we got, okay, so why do we adjust now? Because we didn't hit our standard. So, for me, like that's important. Obviously, for me, it's always about the student athletes, but the student part first. So, Siena Heights, our GPA requirement for student athletes for the university is only 2.5. Like that's absolutely that's atrocious. Like that's awful. You're basically saying it's okay with your student athletes being mediocre.
To be average.
So to be average. So, my program standard is 3.0. Anything above that, fantastic. But at 3.0, I'm getting B's. Like I'm getting B's. That's and college ain't hard. College is not hard. Like I would argue high school is harder than college. Just based off the the scheduling and everything it entails, unless you're like in pre-law or pre-med or something crazy, then it's a little different. But I got kids in sport management or in finance. I'm like, come on, man. Like, you can get a B in your finance class. You should be good at math at this point, especially if that's your major. So, those are the things, those are the expectations, man, just to improve, and not chase Northwood or Clerky in Maryville or Kirk in Illinois State. Like, because why? I can't chase them. They've all been at their programs for 4+ years. I'm in year number 2. I'll never catch them, So, but I can say that we already caught the other Siena Heights programs. Like we caught them already. So, so now everything is just laying the foundation for the next piece. So that's what year 2 looks like for us, man. I'm excited. I think we're going to do a lot of good things and make a lot of noise. And I think we're going to surprise a lot of people. From top to bottom. So, and that's always the plan, but I think we'll see what happens.
That's awesome, bro.
Yeah.
So, like I said, man, go ahead and plug away as far as socials, man. Tell them how we get in contact with you or the program, man.
Yeah. So, Siena Heights, obviously in Adrian, Michigan. You can just find us on Twitter. Shoot Esport, SHUESPORT, Shoot Esport. Not Seton Hall. Do not get us confused with Seton Hall. I can't stand Seton Hall, mainly because they have the same initials as we do. So, but that's the big thing for us. Obviously, we're on Facebook as well for all of the families. Like parents, they don't use social media, so they use Facebook.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so we're on that as well. I won't plug myself. I don't feel like I want to plug myself, but following the players, obviously the program, like it's always going to be about them. So as long as the spotlight is on them, I'm cool.
Man, appreciate you coming by, man, and blessing the show, bro.
Yeah, man. I'm glad. I know. I mean, you brought me on after Clerky, so nothing. I'm obviously like I was a sideshow, so I get it. But,
here you go. Here you go.
No, man, I appreciate it though, for real. Because I've obviously, we talked about it. You and I finally got to connect in July.
Sure.
But we've kind of been in the same inner circle for, a little over a year now. So it's good to finally be able to dive into your world a little bit like we got to in July and then expand on that some more here. So,
for sure,
we're gonna make a trip down to the swamp.
Oh, yeah, we're going to definitely do that.
Yeah,
we're going to definitely do that, man. I'll make an announcement soon.
There we go. We'll be there.
Sure.
We'll be there.
All right, man. Appreciate you for coming by. That was Coach Rob of Siena Heights University. Follow him on social media and make sure You go play esports. Thanks for tuning in.